Senator Bernie Sanders, who's also on the campaign trail in Dubuque, Iowa. Senator, good morning to you. And I want to start with getting your reaction, because I've not heard your reaction to this. Your colleague, Senator Claire McCaskill, said that Republicans were licking their chops, getting ready. Essentially, they won't touch him right now because they can't wait to run an ad with a hammer and a sickle. What do you say to her?
Well, what I say to her is that if she would look at the matchups that are taking place between Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump right now, she would find that we were 15 points ahead of them nationally, that in states, toss-up states, battleground states like Iowa and New Hampshire were even further ahead of them, that I would very much look forward to a race against Donald Trump, a guy who does not want to raise the minimum wage but wants to give hundreds of billions of dollars in tax breaks to the top 0.2%, who thinks wages in America are too high, and who thinks that climate change is a hoax invented by the Chinese. Chuck, there would be nothing more in this world that I would like to take on Donald Trump. We would beat him, and we would beat him badly. Well,
but as you know, a lot of Democrats are concerned, and not a single one of them has endorsed your candidacy. I just read through that. Not a single Democratic senator has endorsed your candidacy. Not a single Democratic governor has endorsed your candidacy. What does that tell you?
It tells me that we are taking on the political establishment, we're taking on the economic establishment, the financial interest in this country, and we're taking on the corporate establishment. That is what is unique about this race. That, in fact, we are trying to make a political revolution, bring millions of people into the political process that Washington and all of these politicians have significantly turned their backs on. So, yes, we have the establishment supporting Secretary Clinton. That is not a secret. But the reason that our campaign is generating so much interest and enthusiasm is people think it's time that we take on the establishment, take on Wall Street, take on big money interest. And that's why I believe we're doing as well as we are.
Well, you have been calling for political revolution. And there have been some critiques over it, though, that you're sort of narrow in where you call for revolution. Ta-Nehisi Coates, one of the more respected thinkers in the civil rights movement these days, wrote in The Atlantic, why aren't you for reparations for because of slavery for African Americans? When you're calling for economic justice on so many other levels, why do you stop short on that issue?
Well, for the same reason that Barack Obama has, and the same reason I believe that Hillary Clinton has. And that is, it is absolutely wrong and unacceptable that we have so much poverty in this country, and it is even worse in the African American community. That African American kids between 17 and 20 who graduate high school have unemployment rates and underemployment rates of 51%. That 36% of African American children are living in poverty. This is an issue that we have got to address. And my intention as President of the United States is to be very aggressive in dealing with those issues, to put our kids to work rather than see them go to jail, to improve our schools. That's what we have to do, and I think that's what the American people want.
I understand that, but you didn't answer the question why you weren't in favor of reparations.
Well, again, it's the same reason that the president is not, and I think
what is that reason?
Secretary Clinton is not. We have got to invest in the future. What we have got to do is address poverty in America, something that very few people talk about, and especially poverty in the African American community and the Latino community. And if you look at my record and if you look at my agenda, raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour, creating millions of jobs by rebuilding our infrastructure, focusing on high rates of youth unemployment, I think our candidacy is the candidacy talking to the issues of the African American community.
Well, let me ask you, though, many African Americans, they hear that, and some will say, okay, he's talking about major economic justice, but an African American hand raises his hand and he says, well, can't get that through Congress, you can't deal with this because it's politically very difficult. A lot of your other plans are going to be politically difficult, if not impossible.
Well, look, this is what I think. That is looking at politics today as a zero-sum approach. And what I am trying to do in this country is to say, you know what? In the last election, 63% of the American people didn't vote. 80% of young people didn't vote in the midterm election. That is why the rich get richer, and that is why billionaires are able to buy elections. What we are trying to do is say that in American democracy, maybe it's a radical idea, but Congress should represent working families and the middle class rather than just wealthy campaign contributors. So, Chuck, what I am trying to do now is change the dynamics of American politics, bring millions of young people, working class people, in to stand up and fight for their rights. When you do that, yes, we can raise the minimum wage, we can create jobs, we can make public colleges and universities tuition free. That is what we have got to do.
In 1988, you talked about a major difference between yourself and, at the time, the sort of insurgent candidate in the Democratic Party, Jesse Jackson. And you simply said, Jesse believes that serious social change is possible within the Democratic Party. I don't. Do you still believe that?
Well, obviously not. I'm running for president of the United States in the Democratic Party. And by the way, when you talk about my relationship to the African American community, check out how many white public officials, elected officials, supported Jesse Jackson in 1988. I did. And he won my state of Vermont. He came to Vermont. Jesse Jackson is a friend of mine. I thought he ran a brilliant campaign. What my view is right now, and the decision that I made as the longest serving independent in the history of the United States Congress, I said, if we are going to win this race, we have to do it within the Democratic primary process. That's what we're doing.
And if you win, apparently you're going to have a third candidate in the race. Michael Bloomberg essentially has vowed if you are on your way to the nomination, he's running as an independent. What's your reaction?
Well, my reaction is that there will be, if Donald Trump wins and Mr. Bloomberg gets in, you're going to have two multi-billionaires running for president of the United States against me. And I think the American people do not want to see our nation move toward an oligarchy where billionaires control the political process. I think we'll win that election.
All right, Bernie Sanders, I will leave it there. From Dubuque, Iowa, we'll see you next week, I imagine. Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and then click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.